Welcome to Proposal Bites, a series of short discussions on the key issues facing legal service providers when proposing for new business. My name is Sylvia Hodges-Silverstein. I'm the Executive Director of the Buying Legal Counsel. I'm speaking with John de Forte, author of Winning Proposals, the Essential Guide for Law Firms. John, I'd like to test the proposition that as lawyers are skilled draftspeople, they shouldn't need help in drafting proposals. I'm guessing that this is something you'd be inclined to challenge, John.
Hi, Sylvia. Well, I think it's something of a non sequitur. It is true that many lawyers are skilled draftspeople, of course, but it doesn't necessarily follow that they will therefore be skilled in drafting proposals, because it is such a different discipline, and the objectives behind drafting an effective legal document and drafting a proposal are rather different. So I think we just have to bear in mind they're completely separate exercises.
Can you give an example perhaps of the difference between good writing in a legal document versus in a proposal document?
Well, I think the one thing they perhaps have in common is that in both cases, clarity is a substantial advantage and something to be aimed for. But in other respects, I think you can, as I said, that you're really aiming to achieve something that's different. So I think in a legal contract, for example, the emphasis, the premium is on trying to foresee any misinterpretations that could arise at a later date, and then ensuring that the wording is watertight. And that tends to lead people down the direction of being quite long-winded, actually, because they're going to try and think through every eventuality and guard against it. I think in the case of proposals, the premium is on being as persuasive as possible. And that means, of course, also aiming to be concise. So I think that would be an example of where you would tend to find a very different approach, or you should find a different approach to how you go about writing, communicating in written form in those two different contexts.
What other pitfalls, if any, do legal providers need to look out for when drafting proposals?
Well, I think interestingly enough, one of the biggest problems is almost the very opposite of what we've just been talking about, which is that I think a lot of lawyers, when they're doing proposals, do go into sort of sales mode. And start to write in what I would call brochure mode, making claims for their firms which they can't verify and which are based on value judgments, and are the sorts of rather abstract statements you might expect to find in a brochure. And I've found that over the years, the important thing is to impress on them that is not appropriate. It may be a form of proposing, may be a form of marketing, but it's far removed from marketing communications. It's a long way from producing what you might write in a brochure or a website. You need to be far more specific. You need to tailor your messages to that individual audience, and you need to ensure that you support every statement you make with evidence. Otherwise, you will get a low score. So actually, that's probably been the biggest problem, and something that lawyers need to guard against when they engage in writing proposals.
Thank you very much, John. This theme is explored in more detail in John's book, Winning Proposals, the Essential Guide for Law Firms and Legal Service Providers. It's published by the Buying Legal Counsel, and you can get your copy on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. Thank you for listening.